Hi, I have your file in front of me, and I'm going to go through a process. Hopefully, it doesn't take too long, and hopefully, it doesn't scare you. But and I read what you said in here when you said about the fact that you could make a bunch of tiny little circles and make them go all the way around. Is there an easier way of mimicking this look? Not really, but watch how we can use the things that Illustrator gave us to do this right. In other words, I brought in this picture so I can use and make sure everything goes from the center out. I want you to see what I'm going to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is dim this picture so I can barely see it. So I'm just going to put it at 25%. Okay. Now, let me change the color of this green to something that you can see, just so we can see that it's right there. Okay, cool. Now, I'm going to say that this is my reference. Now I'm going to duplicate it because I want an upper one. I want another one, and I'm going to say top reference. And you'll see why. Okay, and I'm going to undim this one. So I'm going to put this one back at 100%. So now I've made sure that they're both in the center, and I'll show you how I did that. Okay, so I have an 8.5 by 11 page. I'll back out so you can see that my page is, the center would be 5.5 on the X ruler and 4.25, right? That's half of 8.5 by 11 on the Y ruler. So I'm going to turn that one off on the top, and I'm going to leave it unlocked for a bit and click the bottom one, and look in the transform palette right here how I have it at 5.5 and 4.25. That's important, okay, because I want to make sure now I put guides in there so I know where the center is. So make sure your guides are unlocked, and mine are unlocked. Okay, so I'm going to pull a guide. Look at my ruler. I'm going to pull a guide out of the Y ruler right there. Okay, and I'm going to put that guide at 5.5. Hit the return key. Now I'm going to pull a guide out of the X ruler and put it at X of 4.25. This is all necessary stuff. So, whoops, I didn't do that right. No, I'm sorry, Y at 4.25. You probably caught that. So now I can lock up these two guides, okay, and lock up the bottom reference. Cool. Now I want to make another layer called art. And I don't want it to be a green color, which it's going to end up being, so I'll just make it blue. Okay, meaning the selection. Now, I realize, because this could be thought of in two ways. If the black is a fill, then let's work towards that. Okay, so let's work towards the outer area being black, okay, and then this not being a white fill, this being a black fill. Do you follow what I'm saying? Okay, so I'm going to work it so that that is how I'm dealing with it. So, just like you said about little circles, but let's let Illustrator do the job. So I'm going to hit the L key, which is ellipse. Okay, I'm going to go close to the top here, and I'm going to hold Alt or Option and Shift right here, and I'm going to make kind of like the same kind of, actually I'm going to let go of Shift so I can make a more ovular ellipse like this, and then I'm going to make sure it's in the center perfectly. So I'm going to fill it with just any color. I don't care what color. I don't care. So I'm going to make sure that that is at 5.5. Now I did a little preliminary thing that lets me take the next circle, and I just want you to see I kind of counted around this, and there's 30 of these circles going around to the bottom, so that would make 60 in total. Okay, so how I found what I'm going to find now is, well, here's how I'll just do it, and let's see what you think. Okay, so I'm going to hit the rotate tool. All right, I actually went to here, wherever my calculator is. It's right there. And I went 360 degrees of a full circle, divided by 60, of course, is 6 degrees. Okay, so I know that the next circle has to be 6 degrees over. So I get the rotate tool, I Option or Alt click in the center where the guides are, right there, click, this window comes up. Now, -6 will shoot a circle to the right a regular positive 6 will shoot a circle to the left. Doesn't really matter. I'm just going to use a negative circle. And I'm going to hit preview to see. And yeah, that's probably right where we want to be. Okay, so I'm just going to go with that. 7, I tried 7 and they don't line up at the end. Okay, so I'd have to do a different configuration. So I'm going to say 6. Now I'm going to put the word copy in there. Now I have 2 circles. Okay, so I'm going to hit Control D or Command D to keep on duplicating all the way around, and I'll stop before I get that one right there. And now I'm going to do one more. I'll zoom in so you can see it lines up. If I go Command or Control D, one more right there. So now they're kind of perfect. Okay, they're not exactly what the reference was. And how do I know what the reference was? Well, this is how I want you to see this upper top reference layer, which is not dimmed. See how I can turn it off and on, and I can kind of see how I'm doing here? Okay, that's why I have an upper reference layer. Okay, next step. We're going to use these sets of circles to cut a shape out. Okay, so what I want to do, and let me think for a second, is I want to create a circle. There's only one way to do this, so I can have, well, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. So I'm going to create a circle and then use these to minus the front in Pathfinder. So let's do 2 things in Pathfinder. And I'm sorry, I was thinking as I was working with you here. So I'm going to click all the circles by clicking the circle over here in the layer palette. Let me get rid of the character palette and pull this down. So now I'm going to group these, Control G or Command G. So now I have a group. Now, so I don't mess this up, I'm going to duplicate it so I have a safe copy. Whoops, I didn't do that. So I have a safe copy that I can hide and lock. Do you follow what I'm saying? Okay. So now that I have this all selected and it's grouped, I'm going to unite them in Pathfinder. So now they're one shape. Okay. The way that I saw that this could be done quickly, let me zoom in just a little bit. Well, not really, but I'm going to put this on 275%, and then I'm going to try to leave it right there. Okay, so, because I want you to see everything on the screen. Okay, let me move the transform palette and the layer palette so we have room. Okay. All right, so now if I hit the L key, I can kind of start in the center, right? Hold Alt or Option and add Shift and draw a circle to kind of be what's going to be the center of a stroke, a big, thick stroke. So just watch how I do this, okay? So I'm going to leave it right there, but I'm going to switch it so it's a stroke, and then so I can see the darn color of it, I'm going to double click the stroke thing and just make it a different color, just so it's a totally different color. See it now? Okay. Now let's just make it huge so the bottom of it lines up to that inside circle, which that does right there. One more would be probably good right there. Now, I can't leave this as a stroke. I have to change it so in that to a shape, to an object. So I'm going to go to Objects, what I want you to do, Path, and outline the stroke. So now it's no longer a stroke, it's a fill. Do you understand? Okay. So what I'm going to do here is, let me see what I'm doing there. Okay. What I'm going to do here is now send that compound path, that big shape, send it, put it underneath the group. So now I have my I'm going to actually retype this to circles so I don't get confused. So now I have the circles, okay, above the big stroke, which isn't a stroke anymore, it's a fill, correct? Okay. Now, I'm not sure that this is going to be exactly what you want, so I may make this stroke just a little bit bigger, just Oh, I can't. It's no longer a stroke. I could redo it, but I want more room here. Let me turn on this and see. See how you kind of have, yours are a little bit bigger. I could actually scale. Let me just test this, okay? I'm going to click this and make it a little bit bigger so it moves more towards the outside. So let me double click this, and it may not work. Let me go to 103%. Just to scale it up, just so I have it a little bit bigger. Actually, 102% would have been perfect. So let me double click it and go to 102. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I think you're looking for. Now, because we used everything in a mathematical sense, I'm going to make sure that this compound path is exactly in the center. Look at my transform palette. It's not in the center. Okay, so make sure after you do everything, before you do the next step, that that goes to 5.5 and 4.25. And let me hit the return key. And okay, that didn't make a big change, but it made enough of a change. Now let me also click my circles and make sure they didn't change. So let me go to 5.5, and it's really close. 4.25. Okay, so I like doing things the right way, but this is the right way. So now I have an even amount of these all the way around. Okay. Now the next shape I'm going to make is going to be weird, and you're going to go, what are you doing? So I'm going to click on the circles and shift click on the compound path, the red thing. And that's underneath. The circles are in front, the red thing is underneath. And I'm going to minus the front. So I'm going to take the front away. Now you see how nicely that did that? You see how nicely that created the shape that you want, which now you can make in any color? It didn't take long to make it, but it worked. And that is a really cool way to make the shape that you want. Let me know if this helped. You may have to watch this a couple times to get it right, but I'm actually going to put this file, the one that I just made, right here. I'll send it to you. I even called it by your first name logo. Okay, so I'm going to save it, and I'm going to close it. And I used a JPEG with it, so I'm going to also, see this JPEG here? Okay, here is your AI file. You see it? Here's the JPEG. So I'm going to put both of them, put them both in the same folder before you try opening that. Thanks. Let me know how it goes.